Well, good morning, everyone, and we are going to discuss Kuàizǐ, which are chopsticks. At least that is the Chinese word for chopsticks. Now, the thing to know about chopsticks is that they vary according to cultures and countries. So I'm going to give you some of the differences. Now, these chopsticks, first of all, came from Hy-Vee. So these are sad American chopsticks. I think that's what they are. But they are blunt. If you can notice, the ends are blunt. And I think that those would be more like they are kind of shorter than some of the chopsticks that I've had. I don't know. I think they're kind of shorter and they're blunt. And I think that would be more a Vietnamese chopstick because the Vietnamese chopsticks are usually larger. These are standard, I guess, but they seem a little larger. And they're usually lacquered wood or bamboo. These are just wood. Like I said, these are sad American chopsticks is what they are. But they have blunt ends. And the reason the Vietnamese have blunt ends is because they eat so many noodles and pho and things like that. So I think these are more Vietnamese chopsticks. However, again, they are sad American chopsticks. They came stuck together and I had to pull them apart. Let's just put it that way. That's pretty low class. So anyway, and I started eating with chopsticks when I was young. And one of the reasons is because I took martial arts when I was young. And I took Korean martial arts. I took Taekwondo. And so in that process, we did have some Koreans come over because our instructor had some ties to Korea. He was not Korean himself. He was American, but he had served in the military in Korea, and he had some ties to people over there. Eventually, some Korean people came over, and they also incorporated a little bit of Korean culture into their lifestyle, the instructor and his wife. And so they also cooked, some Korean food and things like that. And so anyway, I was then exposed to eating with chopsticks and some Asian culture. And then I began to read books on the history of Japan, the history of China, and so anyway, that's where I got my interest in Asian cultures, Asian languages, etc. So it kind of goes way back for me. But anyway, so when I was younger, we did what is a very Japanese thing to do. We all had, my brothers and sisters and I, and we were dirt poor, but we had our own chopsticks. So we sometimes would go shopping in another town that was a university town. It was a bigger town than the little town I grew up in. And when we did, we would go to Asian stores and novelty shops and things like that. And I used to have my own pair of chopsticks, which were very Japanese because they were lacquered wood. They were beautiful. They had a beautiful design on them. They were black with, I think, red and gold design and very pretty. I wish I still had those, and I don't. But they're long gone, I guess. But when I was young, I did have my own nice pair of chopsticks. So I'm going to give you some of the differences of chopsticks, and then I'm going to link to a video that is going to give you a lot more information from somebody that knows a lot more than me. So I do encourage you to watch that video because it's not very long, but it is very interesting. So Chinese chopsticks tend to be longer. And one of the reasons that Chinese chopsticks are longer is because the Chinese reach a lot. They share a hot pot, and they also, one reason they're longer is to not be burnt on the hot pot, to have enough length to stay out of the heat of it. And they share dishes a lot. So that is the Chinese culture, and that's why there's a longer length on the Chinese. Japanese chopsticks are shorter than the Chinese, and again, they're probably lacquered wood. Some are very beautiful, and lacquered wood or bamboo, and they tend to be, basically everybody has their own with the Japanese, because it's a very, eating with chopsticks is an individual experience. They do not share food. In fact, they don't like somebody else's lips to touch anything, or the Japanese are incredibly clean, and so they just don't want to mingle food and that type of thing. So so anyway, everybody has their own pair of Japanese chopsticks. And I also saw that if somebody is, for instance, in the war or sick or away or something, in order to remember that person, they will take their chopsticks and place them on the table in remembrance, which was something I didn't know. And they usually have taper and pointed ends. And one reason they have those ends is that the Japanese eat a lot of fish. And so some of it is to manage the bones in the fish. Now, the Korean chopsticks are generally metal or silver. Now, of course, not everybody can afford the silver because they're more expensive. But even poorer families prefer metal chopsticks in Korea. And one of the reasons is a historical reason, that in ancient times, poisoning was, arsenic poisoning in particular, was a way to kill people. And people tend to do that from time to time. And so they believed that the metal chopsticks were a way to detect the poisoning. And so it was sort of a taste test type of a thing. And of course now it's just got to be where they prefer metal. They also believe that the metal enhances the flavor of the food. And now their chopsticks are medium length. And they are shorter than the Chinese. The Chinese have the longest. And they are generally stainless steel, or, like I said, the more expensive is silver. And they tend to be flat and rectangular. And so, and then I also saw a note that they are sometimes used alongside a spoon. So, so there is that too. The Vietnamese, which I think these are more Vietnamese because of the blunt ends. But it says they're longer than Chinese, and I don't think these are longer than the Chinese. So these are, like I said, these are sad American Hy-Vee chopsticks, okay? But the Vietnamese are often longer than the Chinese, and that's because of using so many noodles and pho and things like that. They are usually lacquered wood or bamboo. They have blunt ends, as do these, and that's more about those. So now I'm going to link to, and I might put a couple videos in. There are all kinds of really good videos on YouTube about chopsticks, and they're incredibly interesting. I love to eat with them whenever I can. Like when I order Chinese food, if I can order chopsticks, I'll do it. And so so I love them. I've been using them since I was young. So have a good day and enjoy the links, because it is quite interesting.